just north of Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for summer high school baseball on this week's Game of the Week. East Cobb feels right at home as a team from north of the border visits. It ought to be a fun one. Hi there, folks. Darren Sutton, glad to have you back and enjoying another edition of Perfect Games Game of the Week. Let's talk about the home team, the East Cobb Astros. Legendary head coach Gary Baldwin, a 16U team that is playing up, so it ought to be a fun challenge. But the level of talent on this team, I'm guessing they may be up for it. Jay O'Neill, we shine the spotlight on him. A Georgia Tech commit, he's been behind the plate. Also, a talented right-handed pitcher out of Cedartown High School in Georgia, ranked 56th in the class of 2025. 457 as a hitter. That's the on-base percentage in 184 innings, 215 strikeouts. We've seen Masa Chilcutt a couple of times at Perfect Game Select Festivals in 20 and 21. He's a Texan. He's a Texas commit. In the class of 25, he's ranked inside of the top 100, more than 130 PG games, an on-base percentage nearing 560 stolen bases. The story of Vincent Cambruzzi in Canes, Canada is a unique one. This is a passionate coach. The goal, earn college scholarships. Let's shine a spotlight on a couple of those athletes and start with a 2024 Liam Lewis, outfielder, middle infielder, comes down in the States and plays at TXNL during the school year. Dad is Jason Lewis. Really strong stuff. He's a 2024 looking for that scholarship. Also, Nolan Jackson. He's earned the scholarship. He's out of Grimsby, Ontario, a middle infielder, a 2025 Seattle University. He is headed that way. So let's find out who else in this Canes Canada team earns a scholarship. The 17U team from Canada against the talented 16U team from the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. East Cobb is the host. Brett Dolan is our play-by-play announcer. Let's kick it on out to Brett for the play-by-play.
All right, thank you, Darren. Well explained. A chance to see this Canes team, the 17U squad out of Canada, against the host East Cobb Astros from this historic East Cobb Baseball Complex in Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, on our Perfect Game of the Week. We'll introduce you to several players throughout the course of this afternoon, probably see 2 or 3 different pitchers, and do our best to explain the future of this talented group of baseball players. The East Cobb team, despite this being their home facility, they will be the visiting squad. So let's take a look at their starting lineup. They will bat 10 today. Mansour, Marcos, and Gibbs, the top 3. Bradfield, Shore, and Kiz. Then you have Bowen in left field. Miller, the extra hitter. Atkins at first. And Young will be the catcher. And you see a mix of 2024s and 2025s as well. Jackson Cornilo will be on the mound for Canes Canada. And he is an intriguing pitcher. You see the size at 6'4". A young man who his velocity has been somewhere in the high 80s, occasionally maybe even in the low 90s. He's certainly put on some weight. He will mix in a plus slider, a plus splitter, and we'll see what type of velocity and how long he might go today. He can also swing it a little bit with the bat, but primarily will focus on his pitching here this afternoon. A lot of commits on this East Cobb team, including the leadoff hitter, Maddox Mansour. He is a Texas commit. And we're about ready for baseball. A little bit cooler in Marietta than normal, 71 degrees, overcast skies. And the Carrollton, Georgia native ready to step in to begin our game of the week, and we are underway. Working from that far first base side of the rubber is Cornilo, and that pitch a little bit low. 2-0 to Mansour.
And trust the process. You're in step one. You're going to do corporate yoga classes when you're...
Target set up over the inside corner. The pitcher, Cornilo, working with Murray as well as catcher. And right now, Jackson just trying to recalibrate, trying to pump in some strikes. For the most part, in our games of the week, our pitchers have gone about 2 or 3 innings, occasionally maybe a little bit longer. I think we've seen pitching dominate early over the course of the spring or summer. Hitters trying to get on track as we get deeper into the course of this summer season, and that is ball 4 and a leadoff walk to begin our game. And it brings up Caden Marcos. He is a Georgia commit. A handful of commits, so a Texas commit, a Georgia commit, also a Georgia Tech from this East Cobb team. First pitch, one to hit. There's a bouncer towards first. It's going to result in a ground out, so Marcos is retired, but Mansour able to advance to second base on that soft chopper. So East Cobb with a runner in scoring position. Cornilo and the Canes able to get the first out as we take a look again at this chopper off the carpet. That was a big bounder played by Needles, able to take it back unassisted for out number 1. And it brings up Josh Gibbs. He is a Georgia commit. Stands close to that plate over the inside corner. Good break by Mansour. He's going to take off, but the throw goes to third base. And I believe he was able to slide in safely. You could see the anticipation of Cornilo going to the plate. Mansour just took off. And even though Jackson was able to break and throw to third base on that carpet, that extra slide and that break from Mansour gives him the base. So he's at third with only one out for Gibbs. Again, the Georgia commit. Stands with those feet close together, and that's a good pitch. Right on the outside corner for strike 1 call. He is a 25 is Gibbs, Cumming, Georgia native. So in the starting lineups, kind of a mix of 24s and 25s. That is on the corner again. You'll see these pitchers maybe getting a little bit of the benefit of the doubt as far as east and west on the plate. Maybe not as much north and south, but if you can hit your spots and paint on that outside corner, have a good chance against these talented hitters to at least jump ahead in the count. And now to see if Jackson can try and finish off Gibbs. See if he extends. He's going to get the wave of a miss. Went right after him, gets the strikeout. So after a 4-pitch walk to start this game, it was a soft ground out and a strikeout. We'll see this pitch again. He went right after him 0-2. I thought he might work on that outside corner. Left that over the plate, but Gibbs swung through it. And this is Jackson Bradfield. He's a Canton, Georgia native. He is a 2024. See Cherokee High School. He's going to hit one foul up the third base side. Bradfield has really worked on getting in the weight room, adding some strength and certainly some power as well. Feels like power has grown the most for him this year. Able to translate that weight room and the work on his swing, both getting stronger and just a few more reps, has certainly helped develop the power. Right now, he's trying to provide the first run for East Cobb in the top of the first in our perfect game of the week. So Cornilo, after that walk to start things off, would love to put up a 0 and retire 3 straight hitters. Bradfield, another one of the committeds. Good swing, and he fouls one straight back. He's one of 2 Kennesaw State products and commits. No surprise, not that far up the freeway there in Atlanta. And the count quickly 0-2. So that's at least 5, maybe 6 straight strikes now for this 6'4" right-hander out of Ontario, Canada. As he continues to get a little better and fill out that frame. Comes from that high set position. And his 2-strike pitch. How about that? Back-to-back strikeouts of Gibbs and Bradfield. The 3- and 4-hole hitters in a matter of 6 pitches. Well done after that leadoff walk. Let's see this one again. Just going right after him. A little bit of movement away from the heart of the bat, off the plate. A wave and a miss. And after a half inning, nothing for East Cobb. Canada Canes coming to bat on the perfect game of the week. Canes Canada. Out of Ontario, their head coach is Vic Cambruzzi. Here is their starting lineup today. Jackson, the shortstop. Dimitri at third, and then Murray in center, the top three. Needles at first, Simeon left, Luke Murray behind the plate. Gino will be at second base, Sowry the extra hitter. Munns will be the DH, and then Andrew Bering will be in right field. So that's the lineup for the Canes, and they're going to be facing kind of an intriguing pitcher in this 2025, Darryl McDowell, fifth-ranked pitcher in the state of Georgia by perfect game out of Lassiter High School. We'll see if maybe he might be a candidate to go 2-3 innings. We've seen a few pitchers maybe even extend a little bit further, but 3 innings a good measuring stick early in the year. A chance to go through this entire lineup at least once. Start to build up that pitch count a bit for those that maybe didn't throw a lot in the spring. And for those that have, you certainly want to see a handful of other pitchers, not only in this game, but throughout the course of this weekend. So this is just part of a bigger weekend for these teams as they crank up their summer portion. But excited to see what Darryl McDowell can do. 238th nationally, 51st top right-handed pitcher in the class. He's going to face Nolan Jackson, the Seattle U commit, to lead things off. 5'7", 130 pounds, maybe no surprise, also a hockey player. He has seen some big jumps in his game, including just his arm strength, and he's going to take a pitch way in from McDowell to begin the bottom of the first inning. See some tempo already from McDowell. Got a pitch to hit, did Jackson, but takes it at the belt for a called strike. Good target set right on that outside corner by the catcher Young. McDowell lost his hat and missed. 2-1, just underway, bottom of the first. East Cobb and Canes Canada. We've seen some 8th graders who are first few games of the week, but starting to get a little bit closer towards those college years with 2025s and 2024s, maybe even a couple of 26s. So more commits, more players really anxious to put forth a good season or a good summer. As Jackson waves and misses, and the count 3-2. Start to develop that man strength, also get a little closer towards those college years and anxious to put forth a very good summer campaign. Tal having a hard time keeping that hat on his head. But Jackson staying alive, and the count holds at 3-2. East Cobb left a runner at third base, did not score in the top half. And the Canes would love to get on the board. Here's another payoff pitch. That's down. That's ball 4. So Nolan Jackson will draw the walk, and that's a good beginning for the Canes in the bottom of the first. Brings up Matej Dimitru. He is the third baseman. One thing we'll talk a lot about this Canes team over the course of today. How important academics are, how talented these young men are in the classroom, in addition to on the baseball field, as Dimitru takes strike one. This young man, in fact, his interest in schools range from Columbia to Harvard. Going to put that ball in the air out there to very shallow center. In fact, the ball's going to be put away on the carpet. Retired by Marcos, I believe, and that is the first down here in the bottom of the first inning.
You don't run good. Okay. I love that guy.
Next up is the center fielder, Cale Murray.
Little heads up, be nice, huh?
Got the brothers, Cale in center, Luke behind the plate. Cale is a 2024, so one more year of high school baseball. Got a belt-high fastball and cut right through it. Mitchell High School in Mitchell, Ontario for Cale Murray. Batting with 1 on and 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. That pitch way up and out. Just had some ride and some plane to it from McDowell. See, that mound has had some usage in its day. Out of the set, kind of a calm set from McDowell. Long pause before the pitch. That is a foul tip. Off and rolling was Jackson. Murray got just enough to spoil it, so Young didn't have a chance to make the play. Canes Canada, coached by Vic Cambruzzi. He has quite a story to tell, and we'll get into that throughout the course of this afternoon. Long pause by Murray, and he takes a pitch up and out. But you could imagine amateur baseball really kind of blowing up in Canada. This Canes team primarily focuses on Ontario, but they have players from Newfoundland. As far as British Columbia, a handful of players might see a lot of activity in the States over the course of the year. A lot of break on that pitch, but Young couldn't handle it. So to the backstop, and Jackson will advance to second on the wild pitch, and now there's a base runner in scoring position with one out for the Canes. I think of really the only area of Canada the Canes haven't drawn from, maybe Manitoba. Alberta is also an area they've drawn a few players, so they can truly draw across the country. Here's a payoff pitch. That's in the carpet, kick it away. That's going to be another free base. No dirt around home plate, but Jackson will advance another 90 on the wild pitch, and Murray will take the walk. So McDowell really tried to get on top of a couple of those breaking pitches with some extra spin. Just bounced those away from his catcher, so there's runners on the corners and only one out. So it felt like McDowell had these hitters at least set up, got ahead in the count, wasn't able to get the out, and now it brings up the cleanup hitter, Clark Needles. Needles is from Toronto, right there in Ontario, a big George Springer fan. In fact, he says he replicates Springer's approach at the plate. And to do that perfectly, you'd have to be a leadoff hitter and try and drive a ball out of the park to begin the game. But see if Needles has any similarities to George Springer. First pitch is right on the outside corner for a strike. Interested in computer science or maybe computer engineering. So that gets back to the academic theme for these young Canadians. That pitch rode up and in. How about a pick back at first? And Murray able to dive in. Atkins just did spirit. And Young trying to throw behind the runner at first. The count, a ball, then a strike, though, to Needles. Needles, like many of these players on his team, also a pitcher. We're seeing him at first batting cleanup today. Got a breaking ball that was left up just a bit, and it's in the air out there towards very shallow right. Shore's going to make the catch, and the throw comes home, and Jackson did not try to score. So a fly out to shallow right. McDowell able to get the second out and not exchange it for a run. Like this ball might kind of drift a little bit further, but continuing to pursue in with Shore until he was in rather shallow right. And now Isaac Simi, another left-handed batter, steps in. So a chance for McDowell to work around a couple of walks. That bat was sawed off and a bouncer to third base, and the throw to first will end the inning. So Mansour able to make the play. Simi lost the bat. That thing just got shattered. So a couple of walks and two runners left on base. A scoreless first inning in the books. Let's learn more about Canes Canada.